What about the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz? Iran was blockading it, and now it sounds like the U.S. is going to blockade it. Do you see that working out? Is this a similar strategy to what we were trying to do in Cuba and maybe even Venezuela?
Absolutely. I mean, these are tied together, and I think that's another important issue that hasn't been given fair airtime for really anybody, is zooming out again and placing the Iranian conflict and this challenge in the context of larger geopolitical players. The Venezuela move was not unrelated to Iran. The cheap sanctioned oil that allowed Venezuela and Iran to fund the Ghost Fleet, the Shadow Fleet, the underwater, underground global oil trade that allowed Russia and China to dodge sanctions, that provides 93% of China's discounted oil, literally buying oil at cents on the dollar. China loved the status quo of a sanctioned Iran and a sanctioned Venezuela because that gave them guaranteed access to a captive oil market where they knew they'd get cheap product exclusively for them. So this isn't just about defeating Islamic extremists. This isn't just about taking out a socialist narco-trafficking dictator in South America. This is about removing linchpins that are upholding a world order where this administration is accused of being nice to Xi and nice to Putin, yet we've taken out the two satellite states that exist as the primary economic drivers of the global discounted energy. So these are absolutely connected. I think your specific question about blockading the straits is a pretty awesome judo move when you have their primary leverage. Let's be clear, when Iran declares we're going to close the straits, that's the equivalent of them going nuclear, because thank God they don't have nukes, because if they did, they would be using them. When they launch all their missiles to the nearest areas of free people living to try to destroy them, if you don't think that they had nukes, they'd put them on the tip of those missiles, you're absolutely wrong. They would. Their equivalent of going nuclear is closing the straits. It's not their power move, it's their only move. And therefore they did that quickly because their regime was dismantled so rapidly and so effectively. So us taking that off the table saying, actually, no, we're going to close it. And the reason we're going to close it is we're going to demine it, we're going to secure it, and we're going to make it safe for passage is a pretty slick move.
Do you think that, as a senator, you owe it to the service members here to vote to authorize this war? I mean, why haven't we seen that? And do you think that we should do that? I know some senators have been talking about doing an authorization of military force. I haven't seen one since Syria, and that didn't succeed. That was 13 years ago.
And every time this is brought up, I don't criticize the people bringing it up. I say, listen, this is the constitutional role of Congress. If you go back to our founding days, I'm not going to get into a constitutional history discussion, but I mean, the Congress of the United States, since the founding of this country, has viciously argued over almost every single military conflict we had. In fact, my state, Montana, the only person to vote against World War II was the at-large congressional representative for the state of Montana, Janet Rankin, who, by the way, was the first woman in Congress who was a female member of Congress before women could vote. So kind of an interesting history there and tying into my current seat. So I don't fault anybody for saying, listen, I think we should vote on this.